Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, everything's back to normal. Oh, I love you so much. I love you so much.
No problem.
Thank you, honey.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Thank you, Miosha. Right. Admit. Hi, Kyle.
Oh, hi.
There you go.
You
How you
know,
doing?
my day's not made unless somebody tells me I'm muted.
It's like our second name, like you're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you. Listen, I just got finished going through I couldn't even sign on because we hadn't been on for 2 months. And I had needed a passcode and I didn't have it. I'm normally on at like quarter of, and I couldn't even get in. So I had to call Miosha, and Miosha gave me the passcode so I could get in. And I'm like, oh my God. So you came in right on time. Perfect. Perfect. I just did a short Zoom and got people, I got to send people the passcode so they can get in. Oh man. So I don't know, I don't know how, I never know how this is going to go. We wait to see who's going to show up. Sometimes we have a lot of people that just show up, and then sometimes we have maybe just a small amount. But I look at it like this: whatever information that we give out, whatever information goes out is what we were supposed to do. That's how I look at it. Can't change things if it ain't going to be, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, well, this is where we at, and this is what we're doing, and that's the way it goes. And I'm good with that.
I'm good with it. I'm good with
it. So I'm very excited on, your story and everything. And like I said to you in the conversation we had before, near and dear to my heart. It's one of those things that a lot of people cannot understand, and they don't know how to deal with it, and they don't know what they're doing. And, I've been through all of that. I even asked my husband, I said, can you come on tonight and tell your story? Because like you did your mom, we did your mom. That was our first. So all of that is like all part of it, and getting people to just open up and just talk about what it is that they've gone through and how difficult it had been and what they were trying to do and everything. Let me see if I can make the screen right, because I think I got it upside down or something. Yeah, that's better. All right, I look like I'm on the right side. But that's basically the majority of it, and we'll just keep a conversation going. We'll have you talk for a certain amount of time. You tell about the book, you tell about why the book was written, you tell about the story of like, what you went through. You make it as personal as you need to make it. It's a personal situation, but it's also a resource situation now. This is my book. I don't know if I shared this with you. I don't know if you can see it. It's called How to Care for Aging Parents. This is how thick it is. This is my book right here. You see all my little tabs in here? This is my book. My go-to book. It's like everything. Tips for daily living. Hey, Councilman.
What's going on, book writer? I did not need an ID to get. I had to put the ID in, but I didn't need a passcode. No. It just came right up. Just so you know.
Yeah, for y'all, I'm the host, so I had to get a passcode to get in so that I could host. I'm like, yeah. It's all good though. It's all good.
Miss Ruff and Miss Gabrielle, how y'all doing?
Very good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing well.
Are you the same Chris Collins of Anointed News Journal fame?
I might. Why you asking? Yeah, I am. It's me.
Well, no, I've sent you plenty of press releases during my career.
Okay.
So
we didn't run any of them.
No, you did. This was one of my clients was Reverend White.
Okay, yeah, we took care of him, and well, we still do. Yeah. Well, I see a face, so you got me. Whatever I could do. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for,
so are you
for supporting.
Also military? Are you also military?
No, I'm a marketing consultant when I'm not an author. And when I started my business, he was one of my first clients. I worked for the CDC and promoted a lot of the good work that they do.
Yes, I do remember your name. Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
congratulations on your work.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yep. And I look forward to sharing your story again.
I would love that. I think hopefully it's something that helps people who are going through this.
Mhm.
So that's one of the reasons, one of the most important reasons why I wrote it.
Okay.
And
Cool.
Miss Gabriel.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. I'm from Camden County Senior and Disabled Services. Maureen Bergeron is coming on shortly, I believe. She's my director. I'm the area grant planner for Camden County Senior and Disabled Services. And I also facilitate our caregiver support group as well.
So hi, can you give me your name again? I'm sorry, I was writing it down.
Sure. So it's Erin, Erin Gabriel, Gabriel.
Okay. And your grants management?
I'm the area grant planner for Camden County Senior and Disabled Services.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Erin. I'm going to add your name to this until Maureen comes on. And we appreciate, both of you coming on tonight to share, the knowledges that you have and everything. So thank you so much. I'm Sheila Green. This is Councilman Chris Collins and our author, Kyle Ruffin.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. I normally like to start on time, so we'll start at 6 o'clock, and as everybody starts to chime in, we'll just keep on doing what we have to do. This is supposed to be recording, and I think it's recorded the whole entire time. So we're gonna have to cut that part off from the beginning and start
What
from
you
here.
mean?
Good evening, everyone. Well, my name is Sheila Green, and welcome back to our Zoom meetings for PBCIP's community meeting. Yes, it is recording. So this is our first in-house meeting since the summer. We had been doing outdoor meetings in May and in June because of the weather, but now it's a little chillier and we're still doing it through COVID. So we just want to make sure that everybody is safe. As in our past, we've always opened our meetings with a short prayer and thanks for whatever it is that we do. So since we do have our councilman and our pastor at the same time, Chris Collins, would you please lead us in a short word of prayer? Thank you.
I sure will. All right. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, thanking you for this opportunity to come before your throne. Thanking you for this opportunity to come together with PBCIP and the residents of our Parkside community to share and learn from one another. We pray that you give us guidance tonight, that you bless everybody that's on this call, bless each and every family. We thank you and we glorify you in the name of our Lord. Amen.
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 Yeah. Listen, as long as they heard it, that's all we care about.
Should hear my grace.
Okay, so we want to welcome everyone tonight that's here so far. We welcome everyone that's on their way in. This is our caregivers meeting. We call it the sandwich generation. We'll repeat that for later on throughout the time frame that we're talking about it. The sandwich generation is rough. It's very rough because of the fact that we're standing in between the two pieces, whatever the two pieces may be, whether they be children and parents, parents and grandparents, parents, great grandparents and grandparents. You never know where the sandwich is. So it's always somewhere in between. And the boomers, as we are called, the 55 and up to about maybe 68, our group got sandwiched in even tighter because life expectancy is stronger now than it ever has been. So that's one of the great things about, the whole thing with life expectancies. The other thing is that we have a tendency to have more knowledge about what to do and how to do it. And we make things work better than we had in the past. So with that being said, it's a lot to go into caregiving. Caregiving is not for the faint of heart. It's not something that you sign up to do unless you really understand that you're signing up to do it, or unless you really realize that the payment may be worth all of that. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a real big shout out real quick to my CCPD, who was always on point, and thank them all for being here. Lieutenant Davis, who's that? Officer Simi? Hi. Yes. Lieutenant Davis and Michael Shirk, my dude. That's all of my people. Hey, Mike.
Hello, how are you?
Good. So welcome in, Andre Harrison and, my co-worker, Miosha Lawrence, who, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be on here right now because I didn't know how to get back on. So that happens. Our councilman, Chris Collins, Aaron Gabriel, who is the area grant planner for Camden County Seniors. She is on with us, and she's going to be on until Maureen Bergeron, the director of Camden County Senior Services, joins us. And our special guest, Kyle Ruffin, the author of In Stroke Shadow, A Caregiver's Story. This is like, oh man, I just could not wait to get to this part. I've been waiting for this like for a whole month. So let's jump right into it. We're going to go backwards a little bit because I want to give Kyle some time to really get into it. So we're going to open up with just the report of what's going on in the ward. Our councilman, Chris Collins, holds on to the ward. Hey, Maureen, welcome. So I want him to give us a report on what's going on in our ward, things that we should know about right away. So that way, we'll have that. This is one of those, if you don't have a pen and paper, I would advise you to get one. I will say this off and on as people join us, please get a pen and paper. There's a lot of information to write down. And between Maureen and Aaron, they're going to give you a lot of information that Camden County provides for the senior services division and caregiving situations, as well as hopefully the link to the website that is actually offering caregivers from during the pandemic, I think at least $1,000 or something like that for their caregiving participation during that time period. So Councilman Collins, could you please bring us the Collins report and tell us what's going on?
Well, I sure enough can, but first let me give a little shout out to our wonderful Metro police officers and the wonderful job that they're doing. And that good looking guy, Mike Shirk, he's got a haircut, his mustache is trimmed. He reminds me of Earl Flynn. And for the young folk that don't know who Earl Flynn is, that's the old Robin Hood. So Mike's a good looking guy. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman.
So you got it, Mike. Look at him, Earl Flynn, Robin Hood. So first, Sheila, let me just say, let's all remember and reflect and say a nice prayer in our private time to remember our Governor, Jim Florio, who passed away this week. He was dear to the city of Camden. He was with us when the mayor gave the State of the City address. And, he was a key component throughout many years. Even I had some of the seniors talk about when they registered to vote, Florio was right there on Hatton and Kane sitting at a table helping everybody register. So we want to thank God for the legacy of Governor Jim Florio. I have quite a bit of things to talk about because we've been away for almost 2 months throughout the summer. So I'm going to do it kind of quickly. And again, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. First thing I would like to talk about is the success that the city of Camden had working along with Rutgers University, our Department of Health and Human Services. We were able to hire more than 50 high school students to work summer jobs, shadowing the administration and some businesses throughout the city. And we opened it up to those kids that, as long as they were in school, even though it was summertime, they were not dropouts. They were given the first opportunity. We had another program where we were looking for young people Shout out to Metro Police. I believe they did a summer camp or some type of shadowing program, and the Camden County Sheriff's Foundation also had a summer camp for students ages 13 and 14 that had some interest in public safety, police, or fire or criminal justice participated in the summer camp. We cut the ribbon a couple of weeks ago to a brand new $8 million facility at Whitman Park. Whitman Park Athletic Complex is state of the art thanks to DEP and the Ron Jaworski Jaws Foundation and all the partners that came together to make this possible. For me, it was monumental because I remember being a coach at Whitman Park with a few coaches and a few volunteer parents standing in a concession stand with rainwater above our ankles selling hot dogs just to do some minor renovations. So to come back as part of the governing body and to be able to put $8 million out there on this new ball field was monumental for me. Right across the street from Whitman Park, which is across street from the old Thomas Bible Institute, the old Brim Medical Arts High School. Whitman Park is on one side, and on the other side, you see some new construction going up. That is the new high school for Uncommon Camden Prep. As you know, with the Renaissance schools, each year they add a grade. They're now ready to go into their high school grades, and that facility will be their new high school. It will also include an athletic complex that will offer a different type of exercise than what's across the street at Whitman Park. So the residents in that community, as well as Parkside community, which is right next to it, will have state-of-the-art athletic facilities where you can go and exercise, basketball, tennis, a few other things. It's a lot going on there with a sprinkler fountain as well. Winzinger, we had 300 properties in the city of Camden that were scheduled to be demolished. Maybe a handful or so were taken off the list for various reasons. I know one property was about to be taken down because the roof was leaking into the neighbor's property. We gave the owner opportunity to have the roof repaired, and we took that property off the list. There were some additional properties that through emergency situations were added to the list. For those of you that are listening, let me be clear about 1470 Princess Avenue. We know the porch caved in, and we did an emergency takedown of the remainder of the porch. However, the city does not feel that that particular property is an emergency to take it down right now during this phase, but we will take it down. However, I will make a request to Public Works to get out there and cut that yard on 1470 Princess Avenue. I did talk to Ray Davis, who is the property owner of the big what we call the mansion on Kenwood and Lansdowne, about removing the debris that's on the side of 1463 Kenwood so that our city properties can get out there and board up the upstairs windows. We know we have about 8 raccoons that live in that property. And I talked to Rizzo. He's going to get out there sooner than later and have that boarded up. I talked to Ray Davis today, and he said he will get that debris out of there. There is an emergency property, 1586 Park Boulevard. The property owner passed away. Some relatives were squatting. There's about 2 feet of water in the basement that is probably contaminated. There's mold throughout the building. We've been out there with the health department, Department of Public Works, try to do everything we could do. The gentleman next door has been great, being patient with the city. Now we're to the point where whoever the lien holder is, either they're going to hire a certified company to remove the mold and fix the property, or that property comes down. The reason why we're giving them an opportunity is because it's on the strip of Park Boulevard, right between, I believe, Magnolia and Wildwood. And we know that's kind of like historic, and we don't really want a gap in that row. But if we have to take it down, the neighbor is willing to buy it and make it a beautiful area. Um, we have about 42 streets being paved throughout the city of Camden. I was fortunate as the second ward councilman to have some of our streets. A couple weeks ago, we did Sheridan Street. We know we started the project with Greenwood. I want to give a thanks to Belia Baker for being out there with us, standing with the mayor, myself, city council president Fuentes, and talking about the benefits of bringing new streets to the city of Camden. So currently we probably knocked out about 15, and we still have, maybe about 37 or so, or 27 or so to go. Just like we invested into Whitman Park, we're putting $3.5 million into Elijah Perry Park. That's the old original Centerville pool at 9th and Ferry. That park right there, we're getting ready to do a complete overhaul. We've been doing some cleanups. Recently, we had about 200 volunteers. I believe it was last Wednesday, and we cleaned up Evergreen Cemetery on Mount Ephraim and Ferry. So shout out to all the volunteers that were there. At some point, I would like some type of update with the Parkside Elementary School from PBCIP, if somebody can give a report or update on that so we know where we are with that. I know we had some situations with Little Rock Church and parking and things. So I just want to address that. Shout out to the entire PBCIP team. And I cannot talk about PBCIP without talking about the clean team. The clean team, they're just as important to us as DPW is to the city of Camden. John, aka Cowboy, and his crew, they helped to make the Hatton Avenue Street Festival a success. Shout out again to Bridget and Sheila and Miosha and everybody. Sarah, that's part of the PBCIP that came together to make that happen. Chubb Rock was phenomenal, and he had a great time, and he want to come back with some more of his friends. This would be his third time coming back. He also want to bring Leon from the Five Heartbeats with him, because Leon has a music group now and he's trying to get some exposure by performing. All right. Aetna Health and the Anointed News Journal with many partners came together and did a community fun day in Camden High Park, aka Farnham Park. It was very successful. So we want to thank all the volunteers. If you don't know, and if Sheila Green has not told you so, Camden County Historical Society is now reopened with some new exhibits out in the courtyard as well as on the inside. And as we talk about one of the new exhibits with the music room, let's also give a shout out to the Camden Walk of Fame, who a couple of weeks ago inducted two of Camden's own, Victor Karstarpin Sr., who was a songwriter, keyboardist with Philly International Records, later moved on to the Temptations. And we also inducted Leon Huff, who is one of the partners and musicians with Philly International Records, Gamble and Huff. The Community Reinvestment Authority or Redevelopment Authority is supporting a project with Coriel Institute. Coriel Institute lease is about to expire. They're on Hatton Avenue, right before Cooper Hospital. They're going to be coming into Parkside, right at, I believe it's Walnut Street and between Prince's and Kenwood, where you have that old factory that's been vacant for many years. They're looking to build a new Coriel Institute there. And so we've been supporting them. We've been having an issue in Whitman Park and in Parkside with some catalytic converters being stolen. I'm told that people can get as much as, $5,000 plus for these catalytic converters. I know we had 6 school buses that was parked behind Brim Medical Arts that they hit, and the catalytic converters were stolen. Some of the minivans out behind Bell Pharmacy had some catalytic converters stolen. I'm in conversation with some of my colleagues in business. I'm going to get with our council to city council, Howard McCoach, and see if I can write an ordinance to put some pressure on the purchasers, the people who are buying the catalytic converters, so that we can try and cut down, if not put a stop to this nonsense. All right. We passed, and I have one more, and then I'm gonna close out. July, well, let's say in February 8th, I received a call about a motorized food truck, how we can make it possible that they could operate in Camden. It was prohibited in the city of Camden. You could be a food vendor or peddler, but we had nothing on the books for motorized food trucks. So we wrote legislation to embrace motorized food trucks. We started with 7, Director of Code Enforcement, myself, the mayor. We want to see more of the food trucks visible. We're not seeing that. So we decided that we're going to add another 5 motorized food trucks. So if you know someone that has a food truck or want to get into the motorized food truck business here in the city of Camden, we're about to add another 5. It will go to second reading, and we'll vote on it the next council meeting in October. And I will conclude by, now let me say, of the 7, 4 had to be Camden residents. Now we're adding 5. Of the 12, 7 must be Camden residents. So of the 7 that we have now, 5 are Camden City residents. So we're very proud of that. I'll conclude with this, and I'm more than happy to take any questions. Let's not forget that Sunday, 1 p.m. is line up, 2 p.m. the Elk Parade starts. They will line up at Master and Jefferson, right behind Antioch Church. We will walk up to Ferry Avenue, go up Ferry, east on Ferry towards 10th Street. We'll go up 10th Street to Atlantic Avenue, up to Mount Ephraim, and that's where the parade will end up there at Mount Ephraim, I believe Mount Ephraim and Atlantic. So that's Sunday. The parade starts at 2 p.m. As of right now, we have 15 groups, 15 high school bands from Philadelphia, South Jersey, Camden City that will participate. However, if it rains, then the rain date will be next Saturday. And instead of being a parade, it will be just a unity day, where we will not make a decision to cancel the Elk Parade until we meet on Friday and get a closer look at what the weather conditions will be at that time. And that is the Chris Collins report of the Second Ward.
Sir, can you repeat that route one more time for us?
The lineup will be at Master and Jefferson. They will go up Master alongside Antioch to Ferry, make a right on Ferry, go up to 10th, make a left on 10th, go up to Atlantic, make a right on Atlantic, and go up to Mount Ephraim.
Is that good, Mike?
And Mayor Vic Karstaffen and your favorite city councilman in the Second Ward, Chris Collins, will be the grand marshals for the parade this year.
Excellent. Excellent. Grand marshals.
And Sheila, if you just hold on a minute, let me wipe this little piece of thing off my computer screen, because it looked like you got a mole above your lip and you look like Janet Jackson.
This is why I love Zoom, because Zoom is just so like refreshing, man. It's like whatever is there.
Look at Rachel Harrison cracking up. Listen, I tell you, Miss Ruffin and you know, we cut up. We have fun, but we get the work done. This is what we get the work done. I mean,
if you, my mom always says, she says, if you don't laugh about something, you'll cry about everything. So we have to laugh about some things, because it's just like, you know, too much going on around us where we cannot find a way to smile and just be happy about little things and everything. But Chris, Miosha pointed out a question. She said, will sewer drains be cleaned before the winter? And also, is it possible, no, please have Coriel connect with PBCIP so we can lessen the impact to the residents about what's coming. We normally can contact them or work with Coriel on contacting them to make sure that they know what's about to happen. Because we just don't want this to just fall on them and they don't know what's going on, which we know it's not going to happen. But we just want to be a part of making sure that they have the information.
So what I'll do is on tomorrow, I'll reach out to Director Walker in reference to the sewer drains. And that's something that whenever we have an issue with sewer drains, first thing I have to ask, the first question I have to ask, is it us, the city of Camden, or is it American Water? Some things American Water takes precedence over, but between myself and Director Walker, he'll navigate and we'll address that. Are there any particular drains in question? Because I know some run smoothly, and then we have some like right outside my house that on a good day, a good rain, it clogs or the street floods.
Miosha said Lansdowne and Kenwood is always backed up. So that's true.
Probably coming from outside my house on Lansdowne and Princess. So I'll address that one.
She also asked about where the mobile trucks are concerned, the food trucks are concerned. She said, how many permits are available? Where are the locations? What locations would they be able to go into?
All right. So what we're not seeing, to answer your question first, currently there are 7 annual licenses. December 31st, they all must renew. There are 7 annual licenses. At the next council meeting, we will vote to add an additional 5. So there will be 5 annual licenses left to acquire. If you do not get awarded an annual license, you can always apply for a 1 to 3 day special permit for events. So parades, concerts, all that jazz, you can apply for a 1 to 3 day permit. Now, there are some rules with the motorized food trucks. The original legislation was 16 foot or less. We extended that to 20 foot or less. And you must meet all the requirements of the Camden County Health Department. So you got to have a certificate from the Camden County Health Department. You cannot leave your truck overnight. It is first come, first serve. You can only park at locations where we have signs, motorized food truck or food truck parking. Now, those signs, and I'll give the locations. You cannot put your trash in city trash cans. You have to take your trash with you. Okay. So locations, we have locations at Farnham Park on Park Boulevard between Baird and Kane. There are 2 locations there that no one's using. You have 2 locations outside Cathedral Kitchen on Broadway between Federal and Market. No one's using. You have 2 locations in East Camden outside Woodrow Wilson on Federal Street between 30th and 33rd. No one's using. You have 2 locations outside City Hall on 5th Street between Federal and Market. That's usually filled up. There's a location on 2nd and Cooper. We may need to reconsider that location because the students in Rutgers dorm, they can't come through the back door because the alarms would go off. But you have EMR, Camden Iron, and the old Board of Education building right there, the RCA building. So there is some volume on that corner. There are 2 locations in the Horseshoe down by the aquarium. Every now and then we see some people there. And it was requested with the new ordinance, just like we're extending to another 5 trucks. We're extending the size from 16 foot to 20 foot. We're also extending the location to put 2 trucks outside the Hall of Justice by request of the Hall of Justice. If I answered your question, if not, then I'll continue if there's anything else.
No, that did answer the question. Thank you very much. Miosha said at some point, could you just email those locations over to her so that she would have that information as well? So
I could do that. Or
Yeah.
she could also go to the City of Camden website. There's a right on the website. There's the entire ordinance for motorized food truck is right there. You can click on it and it has all the locations and everything. The fee is $650. It's the same fee as if you were a vendor or a peddler. We just added motorized food truck.
All right. What she wants to do is to add it to our newsletter, so that way, you know,
Sure.
people have the information right away, because a lot of people may not be as user friendly as, you know,
Mhm.
to certain technologies like we've learned how to do in the last 3 years. So thank you so much, Councilman Collins, for the report, which is always up to date and on point. All the information that we know about our second ward going on at this moment. I want to
Mhm.
welcome our chair, Oscar Spencer, who is also here with us tonight while we're doing this. And I see some other people that's here, but I'm trying to find everybody. I see an iPhone guest, John's iPad. I see Patricia. I see Tasha Humphrey. Hey, girl, hope you're feeling better. I see, I think that's about it so far. They're still coming in, and people will come in until 7:30, whatever.
Sheila,
Yes,
Sheila,
sir.
just a point of personal privilege. To Councilman Collins, I missed you earlier, but I just want to put it on record that the bus company has removed
Yes.
some bus stops on Haddon Avenue. I don't know why. There have been a number of bus stops that a lot of people catch the bus at, and they just took the signs down. And some of the bus drivers didn't even know that there were no longer stops. Like Haddon and Bradley, that's no longer a stop. Haddon and across the street Atlantic, no
Lansdowne.
longer a stop. Haddon and Lansdowne, no longer a stop. And I don't know what other stops they may have just taken the signs down and didn't inform the people. In fact, they didn't even inform the bus driver, because my brother catches the bus on a regular basis, and he asked some of the bus drivers, they didn't have any idea that it would no longer considered stop.
Mm.
So if you could check into that, that would be
I
great.
absolutely will. Yeah, and thanks
Okay.
for bringing it back up to my attention.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so that if there's no questions, no other questions or any other statements, so
I do have one more thing to say. Let me just say that as your city councilman here in the second ward, I do welcome you to call me and partner with me. You are my eyes, you are my ears. I found out from Yanis Spencer that we had some dirt bikes being hidden in the alley. I found out from Pierre that right in the alley behind Hatch and Bradley that they were storing stolen cars back there. If you don't tell me, I don't know. I don't see it all. So you can always call your city councilman. And if you have any concerns, you know, I'm not just your councilman, I'm also your brother. And to, you know, Mike and some of the younger ones, I might be your mentor. So if it wasn't for Oscar Spencer, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I ain't gonna tell everybody how my mom made me get up 4 o'clock in the morning and go deliver USA Today's with him out in St. Vincent.
There's a story attached to everything. So, Chris, do you have access to the chat room so that you can put your phone number
Yeah, I will
and
do
email
that
in
right
there?
now.
Okay,
Yes, I
so then that
will.
way everybody can have it, whoever needs it, that's on the call and everything. And for those that's coming, so this is being recorded, let everybody know. So whatever it is that we do tonight will not just, you know, sit here for tonight and then disappear. This will go on for at least a year. This information will be available for at least a year. So that's the good thing about our meetings when we do Zooms, is that we can record them. Live meetings are great unless they're being recorded and then being stored somewhere where people can access them. You know, there's no sense in having the information if you can't access it. Which brings us to our very next special guest. That would be, as Miyosha just told me, she said they're available forever. So that's even better. That's better than a year. So my next guest that I want to bring on is from Camden County. And Camden County is our specialty go-to everything, because they're the county. It's the, you know, we have, if you know how the hierarchy falls, it's the federal, is the feds, the state, the county, and us. Okay, so that's how we think. But it's always about us at the end of the day. Take care of the municipalities no matter what. That's what it all boils down to. And in order for that to happen, the counties have to have a connection between what the state and the federal government has to do so that funding can be provided for the different services that are needed for the various people that need these various services. Do not make me say that again. So with that being said, I want to introduce to some and present to others Erin Gabriel and Maureen Bergeron. Maureen is the, I love her name because that was Tom. I used to listen to Tom Bergeron all the time. When I heard her name, I was like, oh, I get a chance to say it again. But she is the director. She runs all of the services that the county has to offer for the seniors. And she will be the point of information for us going forward for things that we may need, because this is like part 2 of our caregiver story or caregiver senior, what you call series. And then we're probably going into part 3 that's going to actually take us to another direction. Erin on the other takes care of all of this. Now, grant planner, okay, area grant planner is not an easy job. I'm just letting you know. That's a lot of research and writing and words and the way you have to say it and how you have to get the money and what you have to do. And most of the time, the money's either we're trying to get it from a private person or you're trying to get it from a state person or you're trying to get it from the feds. So no matter what you do, Erin's job is harder than you think. Just because it just sounds like it's a nice little cushy job, it's not at all, period. So I want to bring on Maureen first, and she's going to talk about the services that are provided by Camden County. And then I'm gonna bring on Erin, and Erin's going to explain how the money gets there. Is that Mr. Oh my God, Mr. McGritter, how you doing? This is one of my favorite seniors. He's one of the only ones I know that can actually get on here with us. So hi, Mr. McGritter. How you doing? Don't forget to unmute yourself. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Again, thank you for the wonderful, beautiful introduction. That was so nice of you. I'm going to actually talk about the funding for Erin because Erin just got the position this year. So I don't want her to feel as she might not know exactly everything yet. So when it comes to the funding. So in 1965, the Older Americans Act was established. And with that, which is federal, every state was given federal funds for older Americans. The way New Jersey decided to do it was to give all 21 counties the federal money and then the state controls it. And the state decided to let what they did is they came up with a formula of how the money will be distributed, which has to do with the amount of seniors that you have in the community, as well as the need. Sometimes the formula doesn't work right well, and sometimes counties, like I'm going to give you an example, Ocean might get so much money that they can't spend it, but we don't get as much as we should because even though we have the need, we don't have the amount of seniors. So what us 21 directors every year when the funding comes out, if that occurs, we get together and we come up with a plan that's fair for all because we feel as though, if one county fails, we all fail. So it's wonderful that we live in the state of New Jersey that we can be able to meet with the other directors to discuss these issues. With the funding, with the federal funding, we also get state match money and then the county matches money. A lot of our, in order to fund different projects, what we do is a needs assessment, which Erin is responsible for doing. And the needs assessment, we do focus groups, we do questionnaires, we go to our providers, and we find out what is going on in the community. Also, we have a computer database that has that anytime somebody calls us, we put the information and what the questions they are asking into a database. So with that, we have found our needs have been changing significantly in the past couple of years due to COVID. So one of the very first things that we have noticed is that social isolation has occurred during COVID, and many of our seniors did, in fact, our elderly seniors have failed and passed away. And we also, with the social isolation and the fear and all of that, our mental health numbers are up, as you can all imagine. So we received a lot more funding in different categories because of these type of issues. So normally we have $2 million that we get from the feds. We are up to 6 million right now with all of the COVID, the caregivers task force, which caregivers is definitely something that's needed. But with the pandemic, we also found that that the funding, the amount of money we're paying the caregivers is obviously not enough. I mean, they're getting paid the same amount that somebody working at a fast food restaurant is making, and they're doing everything. And it's not right. And that is something that we are advocating in New Jersey, that they should be making a lot more money than they are. So with the, I believe right now, Erin, can you help me out with the number? How much are caregivers making now? Do you know?
Like, what do you mean, like a caregiver that's like on Medicaid?
The Medicaid, the amount of money Medicaid is paying. And
they make about, I think it's $13 an hour for about like 14 hours a week usually. Or if it's I'm sorry, if it's Medicaid, it's like it can be up to 40 hours a week, but it's usually about $13-14 an hour.
Right, and that's just unacceptable. So our fight is to try to make it a realistic wage, which is definitely over $20, definitely. So that is something we're working on. We do bring all of our issues that we hear locally into the attention of the state and the feds. We do have representatives that go to Washington with and advocate for what is needed, not only in our region and in the state of New Jersey. It has a voice a seat at the table. So we're very proud of that. I can give you an example, and I think the police department will appreciate this. One of the things that I've noticed in Camden County is adult protective services. Adult protective services, whenever there's a senior is being exploited, you can call that number, and somebody will go out and check to see if in fact they are being abused. So that is something that I advocated. When I say I mean the state of New Jersey. All the directors got together, and now each county has received a lot more money in adult protective services. It's one of my pet projects because I believe that we're not doing enough for our vulnerable seniors. And also, when that happens, we don't necessarily, if we don't have a place to put them if it is an abusive situation, because a lot of them they're not able to go to the homeless shelter, and they're not able to go to the hotel that we're going to put them in because it's not handicapped accessible or what have you. So I am having those conversations, and with all of this extra money that we're having, hopefully we will be able to utilize it to make a safe place regionally for the seniors to go in a crisis situation. We have, one of the things that I'm going to say is we are the first call for help. If we don't know the answer, we'll find it.
Listen, bro, don't talk to me right now, okay?
Say 5 words and I'll walk off of you, yeah?
Why would you come in here and start like that, though? Why wouldn't you introduce yourself and then tell us tomorrow or something? Be respectful. You come into here, you came into here and called 8 of us snakes.
I'm confused. Okay.
Sorry about that, everyone.
That's
I
okay.
needed the.
Woo. All right. So anyway, we are the best kept secret because we're in every county, and a lot of times people don't know to call us. We have worked with the Camden County, the Camden City Aging Division. We help them with our food vouchers. We gave them some of our vegetable vouchers for the WIC program. Also, if there's any type of opportunities, we contact them and work with them. So we have a great relationship with the Camden City Division of Aging. So I am going to let Erin speak a little bit about our caregivers, because I know that's what you all are interested right now. And if there's anything else that you want me to touch base on, I will, because I got so much knowledge up here and I don't know what you want. So exactly what kind of things. I mean, I've been in the county for 30 years. I've been in the health department for most of those years and director of senior services for 11. Before that, I did the grants for the homeless department in Camden County. So maybe there's some questions that you have that I would be more than happy to answer. And the other thing I also wanted is, because I do see that there's police here on the call, a lot of times with the adult protective services, if there is an issue and they can't come out, our office will come out and take a look and see if we can get them services, connect them to services. I do have police officers that send me an email and we'll investigate, because adult protective services isn't allowed to communicate because it's a private matter. You know, it's all confidential. So that is, if we know about it, we will help in the situation. We might not be able to if they're, I don't like the way the law is written. It's like, if you know the president of the United States, you're allowed to be abused. And I don't like that. And I don't know how we can fix it, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try my hardest to fix that problem.
Okay, that sounds like a winner right there. Maureen, listen, I understand how you have so much knowledge up here in your head and you just want to just get it all out and give it to everybody, but it's much of it, you really can't do that. So we're going to keep you real close to us going forward.
Yes.
So people can be able to reach out to you on their own or come through us if necessary, because Parkside holds a lot of seniors, as you know, Councilman Collins, Mr. Magruder, who's on iPad 4, Oscar Spencer and others can attest to, that don't know the whole system of like the technical system of how to do things. They're used to pick up a phone, get a voice, let somebody walk them through things, help them out.
And we answer the phone, and we understand that about our seniors. And we will help them on the computer if they need something. We'll just say, we have to just get you an email. We'll make one up for you. Here's your email, here's your password, and we'll help them navigate. We do that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Miosha, I don't know if you're still here, but dude is still back again. I don't know who this Andrew Tate is, so we need to try to get rid of this guy. I don't know if she's still here or not. I think she was just there.
Yeah, so with that, Sheila, are you able to help me so I can share my screen?
Yeah, you want to share? Let me get you on.
Yeah,
here.
I want to share. I just want to share a PowerPoint that I put together for caregivers.
Aaron, make you a co-host. Okay. And boom, you should be able to do it now.
Ah, yes, I can. All right. Now, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I'm not only the area grant planner, but I also facilitate our caregiver support group that meets, monthly. And we usually meet via Zoom, just because obviously you all know, which has been a great thing and a challenge, just because some people have to stay with their loved one. So it's actually been kind of a blessing, that they're able to do that. But one thing I want to tell you guys about, and we're going to be doing this soon, and I can email you the information as soon as I have the flyers out. We just did it in the spring. It's called Stress Busting for Caregiving. Okay. It's a 9-week, well, not 9-week, I'm sorry. I want to say 9-session course. So we might not do it in like 9, weeks, but it's a 9-session course and it's an hour and a half a week. We talk about support, problem solving. We educate people on like grieving process and things like that. Cause, as you know, when you're, a caregiver, especially for those with Alzheimer's or dementia, you might be going through the grieving process, the slow grieving process, and then we also teach a stress management technique such as aromatherapy, drawing, journaling, and stuff like that. So that's a great resource that we have. So if you have like legal concerns, like you need, to get power of attorney or anything like that, there's either the surrogate's office or there's South Jersey Legal Services that you guys can obtain. And then through, I don't know if you've ever heard of Senior Citizens United Community Services, but through that, we have our respite program. They do caregiver education. They provide like a home health aid. They can go to a medical day center or temporary inpatient care at a licensed nursing home or assisted living.
Erin,
So
could I just interrupt you for a second? Could you explain to them what respite means? Because a lot of people don't know that.
yeah, not a problem. So respite is like, I believe it's like 2 weeks in a year, in a calendar year, that they can get respite services, and that would be for the caregiver. Let's say the caregiver's going on vacation, or, something happened. Like I recently had a client who the basement flooded and they needed to go to a hotel room, and they couldn't put their mother in a hotel room. So they put their mother into a nursing home, and they were able to do that through, the respite program. So and it's not utilized enough, but if caregivers need a break, it's definitely a great resource.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
No, not a problem. Of course, there's adult medical day centers too, that people don't know about, and you can obtain that through either the Alzheimer's grant, which can pay up to 3 days a week in an adult medical day center, and you would have to go to the adult medical day center, and they would, sign you up for that and everything. Then there's also, you can also obtain that through the JAC program, Jersey Assistance Community Caregiving, in which would pay for 2 days a week. I'll get into the JAC program in a minute. I also always talk about, dementia in my caregiver support group, as dementia is the umbrella, and then there's many dementias. So that's something that I also do. I educate people on dementia. We also have home-based supportive care options. If you're a person, they would have to need help with all 5 activities of daily living. And I'm sure, maybe if you work with seniors, you've heard of ADLs. So that's activities of daily living. The first thing you can do is, in the interim, waiting to come on certain programs like Medicaid or the JAC program, because there's financial piece that goes with that. You can get onto Title III program. Okay. It's a home health aid, 4 hours a week, up to 8 weeks. It's a temporary service. But they don't really screen you as hard. Like you have to need help with all 5 of the ADLs. And then, and they don't look at your finances or anything like that. So that's the good thing about that. With the JAC program, that would be the next level. And that would be because maybe you tried to get onto Medicaid, Managed Long-Term Services and Supports. But you need to spend down your money, because for Medicaid, you need to be at $2,000 in assets. And then I think it's like 2,000, it might even be 3,000 something for, your monthly income. Okay. But you're spending that down, or either that, or you make, too much for Medicaid monthly. So you can come down to the JAC program, which provides, to provide 8 hours of a home health aid, and that you can have that all through the duration of your life. Okay. You don't have to go on to Medicaid, right away or anything like that. like I said, it also offers the respite services too, and that's 2 times a year in a calendar year. You can also get a personal emergency response system, home delivered meals. Also within that, you can get an adult day health services, special medical equipment, which includes like what is it, like Ensure and diapers and things like that. We also have a closet where we have special medical equipment too. We have things like diapers and walkers and things like that. You would just have to request that, and be a caregiver yourself. So that's also something that I haven't put into this PowerPoint, but that's also offered as well, just as Camden County, not through the Jack program. And then, if you need more than 8 hours a week of a home health aide, you probably want to go on to manage long-term services and sports. Of course, there's more guidelines with, finances and things like that. But again, you need to need like the nursing skilled, help, the 5 ADLs. And you can receive up to 40 hours a week of home health aide. Now, with MLTSS and with the Jack program, the caregiver can get paid. Okay. And like I said, with MLTSS, they can get paid up to 40 hours. With Jack, I know I said 8 hours. That's usually if we use a home health aide company, but if we use the caregiver as it, you can get up to, I think it's 14 hours. Okay. A week. You can get paid for 14 hours. I think it's 13 hours. I'm sorry, $13 an hour. Getting all jumbled up here. And then obviously, you got your option. This is always the last option. People usually want to keep their, loved one in the community and things like that. And I showed you what could help you keep them in the community. But as a last resort, if they need more than 40 hours and things like that, it might be that they need either a nursing home or assisted living. And we have, different names of nursing homes and assisted livings that are within Camden County. We also have our home delivered meal program. The person has to be 16 over. They must be homebound. Okay. Which means that it's not to say like if you're the caregiver and you drive them, to the doctor's offices and things like that, and they can't drive themselves, then they are still considered homebound. Okay. You would just need a doctor's note stating what's making them homebound. You know what I mean? Whether it's, congestive heart failure, what the diagnosis is what you need. And all the meals are heart healthy, low sodium, and diabetic friendly. So I also want to show something else that I just learned, which is pretty cool. Let me find it though. Okay. Let me go into that email. Okay. Okay, can everybody see this or no? See my screen? Let me see if I can.
It hasn't come up yet.
Okay, let me try to. Let's see now. Share screen. Here it is. Share. Does everybody see this?
It's coming. There it is. Yep, got it.
Caregiver Relief Fund, and all of this information, including the PowerPoint, I can give to Sheila so she can share it with all of you. Okay. So this is something new that the commissioners came out with. So there is eligibility requirements, for you provide hands-on direct assistance. You perform low or moderate income position, including care attendant, caregiver. You work in one of the following settings: an institute, group setting, school, or your private home where you take care of the person. And I believe you can get, it's $1,000. I believe. Yes, it's $1,000. And you would have had to do this between March 1st of 2020 to March 7th of 2022. Okay. What are they saying to provide? Social security number or taxpayer identification number, to be eligible for the relief fund and complete IRS Form W-9 request for taxpayer. And then it also provides a number here too to call. You're not calling us. There's a separate number to call, meaning Camden County Senior and Disabled Services. You're calling a separate number. All right. So
Excellent.
that's for the Caregiver Relief Fund. And then there's also, I just had somebody, they just happened to be on, which was great. They happened to be on my support group. They just had showed up. So let me see if I can pull this up. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me try to show this. Give me a minute. I gotta figure out, wait, what did I just do? I want to show this.
There's so much information out here. It's like
It
trying to
really
get
is. So
together.
I'll just say it and I'll send it to everybody, but through the Department of Labor, they do have, her name is Natalie, she's from the Labor and Workforce Development. There is something, it says for family leave insurance, a caregiver can care for a loved one up to 12 weeks continuously for 8 weeks intermittently. It does depend on the medical certification that is needed by a medical professional. So you would need to, caregivers can receive partial wages when they have to stop working to care for their loved one due to physical, mental, or domestic or sexual violence related matters. Caregivers must work in New Jersey and pay into this program. People don't even realize, I didn't even know that people could, do this. So it is a great, a great thing to have. Because I know that, some people they have to quit their job in order to, caregive, and that's,
Yes.
that's their livelihood. So I'll actually, I'll send all of that to you.
Yes, please, Aaron. That would be great, because we also have weekly what we call e-blast. We call it, where we send out emails to all of our membership, and to put it out there into the public, and we take all the information and put it together. So this information that you send to me will be shared to with other people that's in the communities and in Camden City and anywhere else that's attached to PBCIP in any way. That way they'll have the same information that we have, because it's important that we empower everybody. Like, it's for everybody. It's not just for PBCIP, but anyone that attaches themselves to us in any kind of way. So yes, an email would be perfect with this. That's a lot of information. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, because FMLA was a hard pill to swallow for New Jersey, because they didn't want to give it to the working class at all. They didn't want the working class to have, it's based on who was at the helm at the time, what governor was there. And the FMLA thing wasn't going too well, but then it finally got through and it finally got passed. And Governor Murphy gets the credit for that at this point, but when it comes down to caregiving for seniors and people of that nature, it's really hard to do that part because of the fact that a lot of people feel as though you're taking care of somebody you're supposed to be taking care of anyway. So why should we allow you to be paid for this time period? But you can't be in two places at one time. I mean, we just got to the point where we were actually able to work from home or work remotely with whatever apparatuses we had. Before that, we had none of the above. So this right here is really good stuff, Aaron, for us to really be able to share with a lot of people. And I appreciate it very, very much. And I do have questions. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I see that, Tasha, I see that you said I needed this information months ago, but you still, for the Caregiver Relief Fund, you can still, if you took care of your grandmother between that time that I had said, so I think it was what, March
27th or something
March
like that.
22, you are still eligible, for that grant for sure. So I would definitely check into it. Why not? So, yep.
Now, Aaron, my question is that if you're a caregiver, and say you're a caregiver for more than one person,
Yeah.
sometimes you can be a caregiver for your grandmother, sometimes you're a caregiver for an aunt or your parent, or whatever the case may be. Would this caregiver relief fund program allow you to apply for each individual person, or you can only do it once?
That I don't know. This isn't coming necessarily through us. We just know about it because we work with caregivers and everything like that. So we're just passing the information along. So that I do not know. That would have to be, you would have to call that number to see if it would be for every, I'm trying to look here, provide.
Well, we do have the website, and we do have the phone number.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we share that if you want to type that into the chat, so then that way that they'll be able to just, cut and paste it and put it somewhere else. Then that way they can have it at another time period, just in case they would have to come back and do this all over again, to go through the whole entire video just to get this little bit of information. But if we can put it in the chat, they can cut and paste it, and then they can have it and put it wherever they like. But it's a very important number to have, and it's a very important website to go through. The state of New Jersey has other caregiving programs within itself throughout the state that I've found, but I'm not going to get into all of that because I don't want to talk as the expert person. I want to be a student tonight. I need to be a student because I need to learn, because it's a lot. And I got the best people on here that I could find to do this for me this time. And I come to find out there's a lot of people out there that are going through this part, through this part of the caregivers program, or the different types of programs that are out there. But, there's so much to talk about when we come to this. And when we get to Kyle, who was our high point of this, to this information tonight, I want to give us that opportunity to really just start chiming in after she talks about her experience, with her mother and everything. If there is no more information to be shared, Maureen and Aaron, if it is all possible, anything that you feel as though is going to be beneficial to be used later on, if you can put that in the chat, just type it into the chat. That means that when we do go back to it, you can go right back in there and find the same information, or they can just pick it up tonight, copy it and paste it, and put it in their information, whatever they're holding, their phone or whatever. And then just get the number to make sure that, when the main line for Aaron, she just gave it to you, call that number. They answer the phone. I can attest to that. I know they do. They answer the phone. So that's one of the most important parts of it, is getting someone to answer the phone, to answer your question, because sometimes it just takes too much to type. It really does. Aaron, is there any more? Is there any questions for Aaron? Any other questions besides the one I asked her? Okay. The other thing that I wanted to ask Aaron, last question was, you have a list.
Yeah, I do have a question.
Okay. There's a list of, you said homes in nursing homes in Camden County.
Right.
And is that available on the Camden County website? Can you go there and get the list, or do you guys have to send it?
We would send it to you because we're trying to update the website currently. So, and it's not, they always change their name and things like that too, like yearly.
Right.
And things like that and rehab. So we do have to update that. So I have an updated list though of both assisted livings and nursing homes. So yeah.
Right. Good.
Yep.
My other thing was about the meals, the hot meals. That's one of the most important things, because of the fact that there is a food insecurity going around the whole entire nation because of inflations and other things. Would we be able to go to the Camden County website to get the information on hot meals and how to get them to deliver? And is Camden City an off limits because it's Camden City, or
Not
is
at all. No.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you the number for our home delivered meals line. It's 6.
And I did see that you said they're not on Medicaid. You said 60 years old, homebound, which is not a driver, not able to get around, and not on Medicaid.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I just provided in the chat for our home delivered meals.
All right. So let me go in the chat. It's a lot of stuff in the chat right now, guys. So if you know how to cut and paste, please do so, because that's the best way to hold on to it. Home delivered meals, I have 856-374-6325. That's 856-374-6325. I'll repeat it going through a few other time periods before we end tonight. So then that way we'll just make sure that we have it and be able to share it with people that may need that information. Also, Aaron and Maureen, is there any type of heating assistance programs for seniors, because the winter is coming and we think we're going to have one of the worst winters ever? So we want to make sure that there's something out there for seniors. And then after that, Councilman Collins, your question.
Yes,
Yeah,
we have Senior Citizens United Community Services has a handles our heating program for emergency heat and air conditioning. I know we don't need that right now. And their phone number I can put in the chat. It's 856-456-1121. I think, Aaron, does OEO do some too?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, OEO has their weatherization program, and they get help with the LIHEAP heat program. They can help with oil for those properties that have oil, as well as energy things like windows and things to help make the home energy efficient.
Yeah, we have like prescription, like pad, prescription assistance with the LIHEAP and the weatherization. So not only SCOX helps, we also do help with the application and things like that. So you would just need, again, to call that main line, the 856-858-3220 line.
Okay, Councilman Collins, you had a question?
I believe my question was answered. You said homebound, non-Medicaid. I believe that's what I heard.
Yeah.
I was thinking
the hot
about
foods?
oh no, I'm talking about for the services. I was thinking about a senior that we've been helping between OEO and myself. But this gentleman is one of our city crossing guards. He really should not be working. We were successful in working with CamCare to get him Medicaid or Medicare. I always get those two confused. And right now we have him in an apartment with some other tenants, but he really needs to be in a different type of care because he can't control his urine or his bathroom situation. And the state has inspected the property, and I know OEO did me a huge favor helping to get this guy off the street, but I really need to find somewhere for him to go. I'm trying to work with his family. He has a sister that is older, probably pushing her mid 80s, and she's not as strong and healthy, so she don't want to take him in. But the family really needs to consider getting him into some type of facility. And they kind of leaving him out there, but I need to try and make some type of move so that I can, help OEO and the other residents in that area. If you were to go in there, the smell from the urine and things like that is bad. And I feel for the guy because he insists on going to work every day. And the weather's changing. I don't want him out there. And you know how school kids are. He wets his uniform pants and kids will tease you. So it's a bad situation that I need to try and find some help.
Right.
So I don't know if he would qualify for any of the service that Aaron just spoke of.
Well, between Aaron and Maureen, I am sure that, they know that there's a lot of different services out there. But my question to you, Maureen, in a situation like this where Councilman Collins is not this person's family, he's trying to help. He does not have power of attorney in any shape, form, or fashion. So, how would the county look at him and determine whether or not he'd be eligible for a nursing facility or assisted living care?
And let me continue. We did what we needed to do to get him his Medicaid or Medicare, whichever one that applies to the seniors. We were successful and getting him that so that he can go into some type of facility. But the
Okay.
family, we feel the family needs to take on that responsibility, and they're not.
Okay.
And OEO don't want to put him out on the street, but he's well past his time.
Right.
Well, if you want, we can, if you give us the information, I can
Mhm.
get one of the our social workers to try to talk to him to see if maybe we can get him in one of the long-term care facilities, maybe Spring Oaks. Which ones are the ones? There's a couple of good ones that
Sure.
might have some beds open.
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, we could have, all we need is his name, you know what I mean? So we'll talk, you know what I mean? I'll
Yeah,
shoot
yeah, I'll
him.
call you.
Yes, please. Did you
Mhm.
get my phone number? So if you want to call me,
No,
that's
let me. I have the 858-3220.
just put it in. That's my direct line. So just call me, tell me his name, his address, everything like that. And
Sure.
we'll plan on going out there for sure. Not a problem.
Yeah, maybe
Yep.
we can help with the process of getting him connected to an assisted living and then they can work directly with him and
There
leave
you
the
go.
family
Yep.
out of it.
Yep. Thank you.
But, and this is the reason why we have these meetings. You know, we cannot have people, we can't make people come to the meetings, but we try to provide this type of information so that people will have what they need so that they can go forward. Because, you know, this is not something, caregiving has been going on forever, but it just keeps on graduating up and it gets more technically challenging as you go forward because there's so much technology involved in it now. But the information based on the humans that we have makes it a lot easier for us to get through to what it is that we have to do. And that's sometimes the hardest part because sometimes there's so much, it's like Maureen said, she's got 30 years of stuff in her head.
Right.
If she was the computer, she would overload. She would actually she would just burn out.
I've heard everything that you can imagine happen. I've heard it. And I heard about that once. I can tell you who knows the answer. Like that's how.
That's the way it is.
That's
the way it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes because of the fact that we have that, you know, all of that knowledge inside of us is good that we have it, but getting it out and getting it to the public and getting other people to utilize the knowledges that we have, you know, that's the challenge. So I appreciate both of you so much being able to do this for us tonight. And, you know, we look forward to making sure that those phone numbers are there for people to be able to reach out to you. I used to work with Stucks. They're awesome. I don't know what else to say about them, but they're awesome. They do so much. They have road trips for seniors, the bus trips. They have food programs. They have pick you up to go to the doctor programs. They have all kinds of programs in there. When I used to work for the Senate, they were my go-to people for senior services for Camden County. I didn't know who else to even talk to be honest, either that or the Camden County Senior Services, and talk to the whole division. So Maureen, you was probably there during that time period because that was only 20 years ago. So,
all right, which senator did you work for?
I had Lautenberg.
Okay, all right.
And Torricelli.
The big senator. We're talking federal.
We're talking federal. And I work with the state of programs because of the fact that a lot of people, it was always, our challenge was this. Sometimes you just can't get through. Whatever you have is important, but you can't get through. So you're calling your state. And then one day you just decide you're going to call your federal people. And when they do call us, we answer and we try to make sure that they're connected to their state people. So, you know, with that being said, that's how I learned a lot of state programs. Because
Karen Elkins is one of my good friends. I know that you know her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Karen Elkins, that's with the Queen of South Jersey is what we call her. So
absolutely. So I come from her school.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. And if there was somebody that knows everything about anything and where to send you to get it, it's Karen. She's that person, always has been. So I appreciate that. When I talk to her the next time I see her, I'm like, guess who I know now? And she'll like, who? I'm like, Maureen. She's like, how do you know Maureen? You know, she's got all that hair. How do you know Maureen? But she's a gem. She's an absolute gem. We got maybe 5 minutes, and after these 5 minutes, the next half hour is going to belong to Miss Kyle Ruffin. She is going to get the last half hour of all of what we got, so that way we can just go through everything. But I just want to just tell people that, there's a lot going on in the communities. Please be mindful of, the information you get. If you're not sure, ask your councilman, to be honest with you, because he'll tell you whether it's real or it's not. Be careful of scams going on. This is scamming season. September, October, November, December is scamming season. They will come after you for everything you got. They will tell you your child is locked up. They will tell you all kinds of things to get your money. Do not give out any personal information. No social security numbers, no address numbers, no dates of birth. Don't give anything. If they're calling you, they should have that information already.
Don't answer the phone if you don't know who it is.
That's exactly right.
And Sheila, with that said, this is, once a year, I think from October to December, it's like a 5-week push, something like that. This is, what is it, Medicare season?
Oh,
where
yeah,
a lot
open
of the
enrollment season.
individual
Yes.
insurance companies will target
Right.
seniors. And it's not a bad thing, because some of them need the services. But if you are not sure if somebody is real or not, just call me. I can connect you to people. But this is the season for open enrollment.
And we
So
do
a
that in
lot
our
of,
office for free.
okay, there you go.
Okay, so they can
There you
call
go.
us and we will help them.
Right.
Okay.
If Councilman Collins doesn't have someone that he knows personally that's doing this kind of service, then of course we would direct them over to the county just to make sure that they're safe, because we don't want.
Yeah, and that's good to know.
Yeah.
And since I had county on, let me just ask a question, and I don't want to take any more time from Ms. Ruffin. There's a lot of people right now that has some plans on traveling for family. We need to bring somebody on to talk about this if we can't get an answer. What is the situation with passports? How can we get people passports? How long does it take? What's the process? I believe the county has an office, or can people go to the county store? What they do? How does that work?
That's actually not our department, but there is a, the Camden County store that they can go to, and that's in the Voorhees Town Center. But we're not we don't really, that's not like our department though.
Right.
So,
yes, and I'm not sure. We can investigate and find out.
Yeah.
And
well,
get back to you.
Let me help you, Councilman, because that's a former thing that I used to do with passports, because passports fall under the fence. Because you normally go to, you can go to the Philadelphia post office. It's in Philadelphia. You can go right downtown Camden and get the applications for passports right in the county office. Right down, it's across from the tax office, right in the county office. You can get it. Yeah, and right, you take it back. They do your photo. You get your photo, take everything in there, and they do it. And then the passport comes from the feds somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks later, based on how many passports are going out at the same time, unless it's a rush. And if it's a rush, then they'll get it faster. I advise people to go to the post office where the passports are actually done. Everything is done in-house right then and there. So you can go to the post office in Philadelphia, which is the closest one, to get your passports done. The county stepped in when we were having an influx of passports requested and required by people. I think it was during the time of the Honduras situation, where it was a lot of people coming in from the Honduras because of a hurricane. But that has changed since then. So going to the website, the Department of State, www.state.gov, and you go to that, and it tells you about what it is that, where to travel, where not to travel, how to get your passport, how much it's going to cost. It tells you everything you need to know. The only thing you can't do is that if you're a first time getting your passport, you cannot do it online. If you're renewing, you can get it online. But if you're getting it for the first time, everything has to be done in front of somebody. So that's what I definitely know.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So with that being said, I don't have very many more updates. I want to do a shout out of thanks to Councilman Collins and to everyone that participated in our last Saturday's Hatton Avenue Street Fest, which was absolutely off the chain. We did a great job getting everybody to come out and they did a great job enjoying themselves. We had Councilman Collins, we had our own, we call them, everybody's on first name basis, to be honest with you. So when you hear me call people out that says councilman, I won't always say Councilman Collins. I'll say Councilman Chris, I'll say Mayor Vic, I'll say Congressman Don, because this is how we know them. This is how we know these people now. And it's really good that we know them that way. We had Deputy Chief Janelle Spencer, what's her last name? Simmons. We had her out, Simpson. We had her there with I think it was Captain Brandon Kersey. And we had, 4 or 5 other officers. We had Lieutenant Davis was there at the same time. So all of our CCPD was there. It was a great day. And we cannot thank all of those that were a part of it enough. And hopefully next year, those of you that's on this call with us tonight will hopefully be able to participate or at least come by and see what we do next year so that we can make it even bigger and better. With that being said, I'm going to introduce a young lady who I just met, to be honest with you. And sometimes, you don't know how the universe is coming together. You don't know why it brings you together with certain people. You don't know why things fall into it. Like it just like falls into like water and just all of it just comes together. It's just one great big puddle. There's no color, there's no oil, there's no nothing. It's just water. And it seems like that's the way Kyle and I just gelled when we got together. We just started talking like we had known each other for like 25 years. And I was so happy to meet her and so happy to hear her story, being a caregiver for the second time in my life. Being the first time with my mother-in-law, which was my first experience, and then the second time right now with my parents, which are 84 and 85 years old. But I'm going to read this real quick, and after my voice ends, the next voice you're going to hear is Miss Kyle Ruffin, who's going to tell you her caregiver story. In my book that's called How to Care for Aging Parents by Virginia Morris. Okay, it's an older book, but it's a good book, I'm telling you. There's a section in here called The Sandwich Generation. Your parents are elderly, your children are still children. You're being pulled by both ends of the spectrum. Each day you face a dilemma. Do you take your dad to the doctor's appointment or do you get your son to school on time? Do you visit your mother? Do you watch your daughter's soccer game? When the day is done, there's practically no you left, just the echoes of all the people who need you. The dual demand of child and aging parents is now so common that it has its own names, the sandwich generation. Women caught in the middle, the caregiver crunch. The situation has potential benefits. A child might pitch in and help a grandparent, might enjoy a child's company, but it can also leave you feeling torn, guilt-ridden, and irritable. Don't let your child get lost in the commotion, slipping down your ladder of priorities until he is hardly on it anymore. Address his needs and concerns and be sure that your parent's crisis does not compromise with the quality of your relationship with him or her. Now, I read that part because of the fact that the sandwich generation is a hard place to be. And I am not in that generation, but I'm still in it because being a grandmother and a great grandmother and a daughter and all of that at the same time, it's a lot of layers in between. But somewhere in this whole situation, someone's life was touched so well that she actually wrote a book about it. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Ms. Kyle Ruffin, who will tell you her story. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you so much, Sheila, and thank you for having me here tonight. If anybody on this call is a caregiver, I know how precious time is. So the fact that you would give me any of yours is an honor. So let me just say that outright. But to everyone else, I am just really glad to be able to share my story. And my story, if you pick up the book's called In Strokes Shadow, My Caregiver Story. My story started when my mother suffered the first of 3 strokes. She was a very vibrant 68-year-old. So, if you were to meet her, you wouldn't call her a senior, but, age would have dictated that she was, but she did behave like one. And I was an only child, and actually a late life only child. I lost my sister in 2002. and I was the sole caregiver. Like somebody flipped a switch, and all of a sudden I went from managing my own life and enjoying my life and being independent. I had just started my new marketing consulting business. I had left the rat race behind. I was the marketing director for KYW Radio, and I worked for the Business Journal before I decided to go out on my own. And suddenly here I was, being fully responsible for another individual. I am not a member of the sandwich generation because I don't have kids, but as I write in my book, becoming a caregiver is like having a baby, but not having 9 months to prepare. So I got a call, and within minutes, my life changed dramatically. And I say that my story started with the book, but in reality, my approach to caregiving for my mom started well before she had her stroke. And this is something that I think a lot of caregivers, if they think it through, would kind of take this to heart. And that is the relationship, the dynamics between me and my mother was something that informed how I cared for her. I lost my dad from he had congestive heart failure, and he died suddenly in his sleep. I had a lot of regrets around caring for him or not having the chance to care for him, him passing without me saying a lot of things I wish I had said to him, because he was only 58 and I thought he would live forever. My sister, she died after a fairly brief battle with lung cancer after 8 months. I had a lot of regrets around how I managed that. So when my mother got sick, I threw myself into taking care of her because of the regrets that I had for the other 2 people in my family that I lost. And I say that just to say that when you're a caregiver, that's not a sole, that the dynamics between the person being cared for and the person doing the caring is something that's impacted by their history, but by their relationship, by cultural expectations, by so many things that we might not realize are in the room with us when we are interacting with the people that we love. And that is what I wrote about. I wrote about the relationship between my mother and me through this ordeal. I wrote about the things the experiences that made us who we were in those moments, and some of the resources that I tapped into in order to survive it. And when I say survive it, it sounds like it's a sentence, but in reality, one of the things that I have come to believe is, in some ways, caregiving is a bit of a selfish act, being a caregiver. And I know that that might sound weird, but the reality for me was that I would have never been able to live with myself if I didn't make the sacrifices that I did for my mother. And that belief in how I approached caregiving was something that really helped me not see it as a sentence, to recognize that this was something that was for my own benefit as much as it was for hers. And I think that with a lot of caregivers, many of us are surrounded by people who don't answer the call, right? Who can just walk away from a loved one and not make the sacrifices and not do all of the hard things that come with being a caregiver. And I found that me giving to my mother was feeding my soul. It was hard. It was disturbing some days. At one point, I recognized along the way that I was mourning my mother. This was a 3-year period that the book covers. I was mourning her because even though she was still alive and we saw each other probably more than we had seen each other in my adult life, she was never the person that she was never going to be the person that she was before that stroke. And I've come across people who hold on really tight to the notion that the person that they love is going to come back, or that the person that they love wants the same things that they wanted before they were stricken with whatever disease that they had. But I felt a tremendous amount of relief when I let go of wanting her to be who she was. I could then just treat her the way, as the person that she was now, with a stroke, with aphasia, with paralyzation, with her inability to live alone. She was completely dependent on me. And it was hard, but again, lifting the weight of knowing that this is who she is now. I don't have to stress about getting her back to where she was. I just have to love her for who she is and where she is right now. I learned a lot as a caregiver, and that was why I felt like I needed to write this book. I wrote this book because stroke is one of those things that doesn't get the kind of attention that, say, Alzheimer's and other disease gets, but it's still a really big deal, particularly in the African American community. According to the CDC, 795,000 Americans suffer a new or reoccurring stroke every single year. And for people who are 65 and over, stroke is the leading cause of long-term disability. So not only are there a lot of stroke patients and survivors out there, but there's probably exponentially more people who are caring for people who have suffered strokes. And that was a story that I felt compelled to tell, because when my mother had her stroke and I went looking for a book to tell me what to expect, and I wasn't looking necessarily for an instruction manual, I was kind of looking for somebody who could explain or just prepare me mentally for what it was going to be like and some of the things that she might experience. And I couldn't find that book. I found books about people who had suffered strokes that were very medical. And I felt like, I know what I like to read. I want to read a story. I want to read a human story. I don't want to read a textbook. So one of the things also that drove me to write the book was so many people in my circle, my parents' friends, my neighbors, their loved ones were suffering strokes. And it was like nobody talks about stroke. And they would come to me often and ask me, okay, so how did you navigate this? And how did you navigate that? And, I was happy to share what I learned along the way. And that just encouraged me more to put it on paper and to share my memoir. This is not instructive. This is one caregiver story. We all come to caregiving from different angles, some because of Alzheimer's, some because of stroke, some because of just old age. If we're that lucky, right, to get to be old age. And we also, when you're caregiving, you are navigating way more than just the medical system. You are the chief cook and bottle washer. So you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're the personal business manager. I had to take over my mother's banking and all of her personal business, all within a matter of 24 hours, because we never talked about any of that. And I had to not only navigate my way through getting her situated and making sure her health was taken care of, but I then had to figure out whether or not her house was paid for and whether or not her insurance was paid for and her cars were paid for and were her taxes paid and were her bills paid. I had no idea what her financial situation was because we didn't talk about that, because in my community, we don't talk about those kinds of things. Parents don't talk about those kinds of things with their children. But my caregiving story is that, yes, that was part of it. I had to navigate selling my childhood home. My family and I lived in that house for 41 years. I grew up, right in Mount Laurel. And my family was the only family that had ever lived in that house. And just imagine 41 years of stuff that we had accumulated over the years. And it is really, really hard to let go of all of those things. And during that process, I had to keep reminding myself, you got to throw this away or give it away, because you can't take this all to your own house. First of all, it won't fit. And second of all, you're not throwing away the person, you're throwing away the thing. And we get attached to things. And I saw that in my mother's house, because every relative who died before her, all their stuff was in her basement. So I really had to work through the process of selling my family home. It was emotional, but it was necessary. And I have to tell you, last week, because I live not far from where she lived. Last week, I drove by the house, and I do it often because it was in my life for 41 years. It was where I went to the prom, and where I got married. This was, our homes are a big part of who we are. And I met the father who lives in the house now. And he was just glowing about how happy he is to be in that house. And then his daughter came out to the car, and I told her, I said, I used to live in that room right there. That was my room. And he said, which room do you stay in? And she said, that's my room. And I gotta say, that experience was kind of what I would like to see happen more often, in that I've seen people in my life hold on to real estate that's empty and abandoned because the family member died and they didn't want to take care of business, and because it's difficult and it's challenging to sell a house, and then there's the family splitting up the money, or how do we deal with money, all of that stuff. But what made me proudest is that there is a new family living in my family's home, making a great life for themselves and keeping our neighborhood that I loved and grew up in alive and vibrant. So I have so many stories like that I tell in the book, that it's me opening up my heart to the world and saying, the caregiving experience doesn't have to be a sentence. It can be a good one. There's places to get help. I sought therapy. In my community, that's not exactly, something that people do, but oh my goodness. Through therapy, I was able to deconstruct the relationship between me and my mother, because we weren't like this. We were my father was my favorite parent, and my sister was my mother's favorite child. So the two of us were kind of left together to navigate this very challenging time. So I really needed to work through, how am I going to do this without killing her or walking away from her? And therapy really helped me to do that. So I just try to show different modes or modalities that I used to get through some of the most challenging times of caregiving. And from what I've heard from folks, it's a very quick read. I think it's a good read. Of course, I would say that. And I think that anybody who's going through caregiving, or who's been a caregiver, even if their loved one has passed on, this is an opportunity for them to see themselves in the pages of a book. And I don't think that opportunity is offered that often. So I strongly encourage to pick up a copy. It's again, My Caregiver Story, In Strokes Shadow, mycaregiverstory.com. Gosh, sorry, all of my stuff is my caregiver story. So it makes it kind of, I have to go back a little bit, but the book is called In Strokes Shadow, My Caregiver Story. It can be purchased on my website through Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's on Ida's bookshop website. It's also available at Curate Noir. You can actually go in and pick up a physical copy at Curate Noir in the Morristown Mall. You can pick up a copy online at Inkwood Books, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and those locations. My website is mycaregiverstory.com. All links to buy it are all there. And I'm also pretty active on Facebook and Instagram, also at My Caregiver Story. So I could talk about this forever, because when I talk to people about caregiving, one of the things that I like when I'm at a book event and somebody walks by the table and they see what the book is about, they lean into me and they say, I'm a caregiver. Like they're like ashamed or afraid to admit that they're doing this. And there's no reason to be. This is like, yes, it's an honor. Yes, it's hard. You can admit that too. This book is designed to allow people the freedom to admit that it's hard, that if they had a choice, they wouldn't be doing it, but they are doing it, and therefore they should take pride and get some energy out of the fact that they are doing it. So,
so excellent.
Any questions?
First, let me just thank you for doing that, because I'm watching your face as you're going through this. I read faces, I read eyes, and I can see that there's a whole memory thing going on inside of you of everything that you've been through. And I can see it in your whole entire face. Like every time you talk about your book, I'm sure that you have to go through this whole thing every single time, the feelings, the emotion, everything, that the goods, the bads, and everything. But in the process, the final presentation of what you give is, I did it. You can do it. It's okay. It's not going to be easy. I'm giving you the challenges up front. I'm telling you what I didn't get. I had no book to go to. I just had to walk in and just hit the ground running. So in doing so, I had no knowledge of what a power of attorney needed, and wills, and real estate and advanced directives and all of these things. It's so much paperwork, but that's where the county comes in. That's where Maureen and Aaron come in, because they're the ones that can guide us through that part of it, tell us where we're supposed to go, how we're supposed to do it. And I just appreciate the fact that, that you let your spirit guide you in such a way where you actually told a story that was a story, instead of it just being a direction, because we all need direction, but we need to hear the story in order to know where we're going. Because sometimes the story balances out with something that's equal to your own life. And that's a good thing. We have all lost relatives in some shape, form, or fashion. And it is hard. 1 minute they're here, just like we're here, and the next minute they're not. And when that does happen, that whole therapy thing it kicks in. You need it. And just like you said, in the Black and brown communities, we don't do that. We don't go to therapy. We just don't. We just go ahead and suffer with it and deal with it and say it's okay. But if there's any questions for Aaron, I'm going to be quiet and give you guys.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I do want to say something. First of all, I want to thank Miss Ruffin for sharing her story. I think it's absolutely amazing, and it brings joy to my heart. There's a few things that you said that were key, and many of us have been caregivers. I took care of my father for 7 years with Alzheimer's, and you said, you were a daddy's girl. Your sister was your mother's favorite daughter. So there was something, I was that problem child. So, but being a caregiver brought my father and I closer together, that when it came time for him to close his eyes, when my family, my siblings, because I felt, and it's something, because when you have siblings, there's always someone that steps up more than the others. So I was at peace because I knew I did my part, where my brothers and sisters still had that guilt, you know. And for me to eulogize my father was the greatest day of my life. Was the most, I would say, the most honorable day of my life. Um, Sheila said something. That's where Aaron and Maureen come in, because during those times back in the 90s, we didn't have, well, there were adult medical daycares, but there was 6 siblings and we could not afford it. So to have the services of Camden County to be able to provide those type of opportunities today is paramount, because many of us didn't have those things back then. But I just wanted to thank you, and I wanted to commend you for having the courage to write your book, because your book will help so many. Many of us, we know and we like to share, but we don't always have the courage to come forth and put it in print. So it's amazing to me. I can't wait to write your story. So I hope that you do reach out to me so we can, get you in the Anointed News Journal.
I just love it when it comes together. I'm serious. I love it when it comes together. Mr. Magruder, you've been sitting there. I see you.
Oh, that's my man, Mr. Magruder.
Well,
But I
thank you.
want to say one last thing.
I had a
In
problem doing it.
caregiving, yeah, Mr. Magruder, just one last thing. In caregiving, there are many challenging times, but there are also some funny moments
Yes, it
that
is.
the funny moments that
Yeah.
take place. And now
Mhm.
stroke is different than Alzheimer's, so I can't speak about stroke, but I know, there's some things I know I'm gonna have to answer to God for, when it came to caregiving. My dad said, go get me a donut. And there was one donut and one roll. He wanted the donut. I wanted the donut. I said, he ain't gonna know the difference. So I gave him the roll. I know I had to answer for that one, but I'm ready. But you have those type of moments.
Well, I can say that even with stroke, there were some funny moments, and I write about them in the book because that was part of my experience. And and I was not the perfect caregiver. Trust me. There was one day I left her out on the curb, pulled in my car, and didn't even know whether or not she got in the house because she was fighting me on something. But then I went around the block, made sure that the garage door was shut. That meant she was like in the house. She was safe. So this is not the story of the perfect caregiver.
There is
It's the real story of what it's like to be a caregiver.
And Mr. Magruder, you have been around with us, for a while and been a member of PBCIP, of which we definitely appreciate that. But you being the senior that's in our neighborhood, what do you say about how caregiving goes?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say, but I know my mother was living alone on 7th Street, and the doctor said that she would not be able to live alone for long like that. She needed to have somebody with her. So we brought her into our home, my wife and I, and my children. And, it went okay. I mean, caregiving, as far as I'm concerned, and my participation in it was like just taking care of a child, almost like taking care of a child. However, she had an accident while I was on a fishing trip. And when I came back, she was in the hospital. And she was hooked up with tubes down her throat. She was hooked up with tubes in her head. And the doctor had said that she more than likely will not recover from this injury that she has. And so that was hard. Still hard now.
Yeah, I can hear. It's hard.
But she passed away in 2017.
Okay.
And like, I guess we all have some things that we regret not doing and should have done when someone we love was with us and we didn't do some things we should have done and didn't do. And those things haunt us for a while, but I guess that may be where conversations with professionals might be able to help us with those kinds of things. Or we can maybe work ourselves through them ourselves. But
it's a struggle no matter which way you look at it, Mr. Magruder. And that's only 6 years ago in your life, and the mourning process never stops. It's an ongoing process. I mean, even those of us that read the Bible and even maybe parts of the Quran will tell you that for everything there's a season for everything, and there's a time and a purpose for everything under heaven. And it tells you there's a time to mourn and a time to refrain from mourning, but it doesn't tell you how long it goes. It just tells you there's a time. That's all it says. So if it starts on day 1 and ends on day 77,770, then that's where you are. And that's what we have to deal with as the humans that we are. But one of the things, we take away nothing from tonight's information, especially this part of it, is that do not underestimate how your spirit will direct you to do what it is that you need to do. Sometimes you just have to just go along with the flow. It may not be what you want to do. I, as a caregiver, my father has this thing called Lewy dementia, and my mother is walking into her first stage of dementia where she's doing repetitive things. This Lewy dementia is like an Alzheimer's, but it's not fully Alzheimer's. So that makes you a little confused because you're expecting Alzheimer's, but you're actually getting something that's partial Alzheimer's. There are some days that he knows exactly who he is and what he's doing, and there are some days that he doesn't at all. He has a problem with, going to the bathroom properly. It's a matter of, a lot of clothes that accumulate due to the fact that he's not making it to the bathroom. The financial part of it, of making sure that there's enough money to take care of them, is always a challenge with me. My mother, who was a LPN, raised 7 children. She is the grandmother of over 20 some children. She is the great grandmother over somewhere close to 20 children, and the great great grandmother of at least 10. So she stands in a very strong place, but to see her not be able to remember where her glasses are, and she's lost her sight, takes a lot out of us as we watch. What Kyle said about the siblings coming in and them, chipping in, that don't happen all the time. It's 7 of us. We lost my brother when he was in his early 30s. We lost him early in 2000, and it's 6 of us left. I am the oldest girl. I'm the oldest sibling, period. Everything falls up here. Nothing falls down. It just falls up here. And I needed this conversation with Kyle and with you, Mr. Magruder, and with Aaron and with everyone else, so that I could reassure myself that maybe I'm walking in the right direction. I'm hopefully walking in the right direction. I'm doing what I can. My brother calls me the, the HCGIC, and that's the head caregiver in charge. Which I was like, oh, that's a whole new acronym for me. I didn't even know what that meant myself. But, I have taken over the paperwork of all of the advanced directives. My mother had surgery at 84, just as June passed. And she had she had cancer in her, whatchamacallit tracts, her, in her small intestines. She had cancer in her small intestines, and it was enough where they had to cut her, where I thought it was just going to be laparoscopic, but they had to cut her. And I had to deal with that from June all the way until like late August. But her body healed so well because she was not full of medication. The other problem that is part of caregiving is the medications that the doctors prescribe to our people and what it does to them and how it takes them away from being the people that they are. That's what my dad is going through. Now, he's not my blood father, he's my stepfather, but he's been married to my mom long enough. So We just pull them in, let it work. But at the end of the day, this is a hard pill to swallow, and it's getting younger and younger every day. It's not the 60 somethings, it's the 40 somethings. In my team is myself and my brother. I have two other brothers, but one of them is not able to participate because he's on dialysis. My youngest brother now, he's my youngest brother. He has a business that takes a lot of his time. My sister, who is my youngest sister, is currently incarcerated. So I have no help with that. So where the females are concerned, it's me for the most part. My sister-in-law does chime in when she can, and my daughter chimes in when she can. I normally take my granddaughters with me for support. My grandsons, my mother's great-grandchild, and my mother's great-grandson and her grandson are the two that are like, you're really like picking up the pieces. My son is picking up the pieces. And it's difficult, everything's the same every day, one way or the other. The conversation you could have 2 hours ago is not the same conversation that they're going to remember 2 hours later. But what I am grateful to is that it's not a stroke. What I'm grateful to, that it's not debilitating. What I'm grateful for is that they can get up and they can move around and different things they can do, and they appreciate them at the time that they're doing it. So with that being said, and the time that we're going into, and it's exactly 8 o'clock, which I don't know how I did it sometimes, but I just want to say thank you to Aaron, and please, and thank you for staying with us this whole entire time. I don't know if you needed it for the information or you needed it as a personal, but thank you for staying with us the whole entire time. You are now part of the family. So just get used to everybody calling you, because so, and for everybody else, for the officers that stayed on, because they do a lot of community service, and their community service, looks at the different types of mental instabilities that they find out there in the world. And sometimes sitting in on our meetings, they learn things, and then they go back out there and they utilize those things. And it helps them to do the job that they do well, but makes them do it better. So I appreciate all of them for always just jumping on, just to hear the information and to know that, we're here for them if they have questions, and we can always guide and direct them. To Councilman Collins, who, Chris, he's more of a friend than he is a councilman to me. So anything that he gives us is always going to be genuine. He's true to what it is that he is doing right now in his life. And he's always the honest person that I can go to and say, that's my go-to person. For everyone else that joined us tonight, Maureen, I am going to be driving you crazy before it's all over with, because I have my own personal life to really get straightened up with that, but I thank everyone that was here, but my special thanks goes to you, Kyle, because if it wasn't for you having a story to tell, I probably wouldn't have had a platform to actually present it to or present it from. And now I know that this is bigger than we think it is. It's a lot more people out there doing it. It's a lot more people out here struggling with it. And we just have to have these networking communication things. Mr. Magruder's story was like, nobody would have known if he hadn't shared it. And that just strengthened me to let me know that, no matter what age I become, I'm already in my mid-60s. So no matter what age I become, this is still going to be an ongoing situation, until I get to the end of life, which I have to prepare for as well. So I thank you guys so much. My heart is full. My head is full. I'm so full. I got all this information. I feel like I'm on like a whole new cloud right now, and I can go forward. I have a whole new, I guess you could say, family in the caregiving community, because now I know that, so many other people are going through this, and it ain't over yet. It's still going to keep on happening. I'm going to become probably one of these people at some point in time with my own children. God only knows. But in the meantime, thank you so much for all of what you do, all of you. And Kyle, write that second book. It's in you. It's in you. Write it. Get it out.
I did want to just mention that I put a link in the chat where you can actually read the first chapter.
Okay.
So if you have the opportunity to grab that link, it'll take you to a page or to a page on my website where the first chapter is available.
Okay.
And you can decide for yourself whether or not it's an investment worth making.
I think that, us knowing, just the fact that it's out there and just sharing it, that like we do, we share this, did you guys pick up the book? You need to pick up the book. Just like, I don't know who this woman is. I have no idea who this person is. I don't know who Virginia Morris is, but I'm selling her book like I know her. Okay. I'm just telling everybody, like, you need to know this book, A Complete Guide, How to Care for Aging Parents. Matter of fact, let me just tell you one more thing. And before we get ready to go,
I need Sheila on my PR team.
The copyright on this book, is 1996. I'm in 2022 reading this book to get through my life. So never underestimate a book. Okay. Carmel written this book, God only knows how long ago, but when you pick it up, you're going to see yourself in it. You're going to feel yourself in it. You're going to be, oh my God, thank you so much. Because you're going to know that this is a direction that you need to go in and that it is not impossible for you to get through it no matter what your situation is with the people that you have to care for. It doesn't make a difference what nationalities we are. It doesn't make a difference whether it's male or female. My husband had to take care of his mother. Now imagine that, bathing her, never seeing his mother without clothes and all of this. I had to step in and take that part from him because it was really uncomfortable. So it's a whole lot to this that, we don't really pay attention to, but when it comes down to post-traumatic stress, all of it gets involved in the same situation. And we all walk away with a post-traumatic stress afterwards, after we've done it sometimes. So just keep in mind that, a book is never too old to teach you, believe me. So I would advise those that don't know, go get the book, read it. You can get it on Amazon. If you're not, got to get it where it's going to read to you while you're sleeping. You got your earbuds in, you're nodding back, just read it and go to sleep. It'll be okay. So thank you everyone for being here with us tonight. Our next meeting is going to be in October. And October's meeting is going to be on the last Wednesday in October. My phone is not acting right now. It's going to be the last Wednesday in October, which is, the date is October 26th. That meeting is going to be on civic responsibility. And I'm bringing it hard because I'm a former U.S. Senate person. So the reason why I'm saying I'm bringing it hard is because this is the year that women need to stand up and tell the Supreme Court you're wrong. You don't have no business talking to me about my body. It's mine. I don't care. I don't. You can't tell me what to do with it. You can't tell me what not to do with it. It's mine. So we need to vote for people that's going to walk in that place and stand up for us and be the representatives that we ask them to be and deal with that. Our votes matter. Miosha's telling me your vote matters, and it does. It really matters. This is just like we went through it when we were leaving the 2020 election. It's one of those midterms that we need to really step up for, because when 2024 shows up, things are going to change again, and we need to be prepared. So our next meeting is going to be on civic responsibility, why you vote for councilmen, why you vote for mayors, why you vote for commissioners, why you vote, period. That way we know exactly who we're getting in office and keeping them there for as long as we can to do the job that we asked them to do.
And most importantly, Sheila, vote.
That's right. Just vote. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night. I love you all. Hope to see you if you can in October. I will send you out flyers and everything and information. Aaron, we're going to be besties on the phone, okay?
Thank you, everybody. I'll talk to y'all in October.
All right. Love it. So we'll see you then. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You too, everyone else.
For having us.
Bye-bye. Good night.